Hey, it's Moe Ari
and Tiffany.
and you're listening to the hashtag Love Goals podcast. Before we get into this episode, I just want you to remember that every human, regardless of identity, needs these three things: belonging, authenticity, and love.
And after a decade of partnership, we've learned to co-create these things and so much more.
So from wherever you're listening, we're going to go on a journey of becoming our own hashtag Love Goals. Now let's get into this episode. Hey, it's Moe Ari
and Tiffany.
And you're listening to the hashtag Love Goals podcast. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank y'all.
So I'm going to tell y'all a story because this one, it honestly tickles me, but it's the foundation for what we're talking about today.
Okay.
So once upon a time, not that long ago, honestly.
Okay.
It was a Wednesday. And I think I was coming home from my office or, just being out and about. Tiffany had, told me that she was getting Nova ice cream, what she was doing during the summers on Wednesdays after school. Nova was all cute. I saw the pictures or whatever. So we get home, whatever. I'm looking at the countertop and I see like sushi on the counter. And I'm like, oh, she's really planning a little nice dinner for us or whatever. So she puts Nova down to sleep. We do our little bedtime reading and she's done with Nova. And I'm like, okay, so what's the plan for tonight? Thinking it's about to be like a little date. And she was like, oh, nothing, I'm about to take a bath or whatever. And then, we can hang out. And I'm like, all right. I'm still really like, wow, okay. It's supposed to be nice. Nice, as Nova says.
Oh my
And all I start hearing, I hear her running water or whatever. And I hear her music start playing. And I'm hearing like the little clicker from the lighter. She's lighting candles. I'm like, okay, she's going through her little bath routine or whatever. Then she's like calling me from the bathtub because she needed me to do something. Probably to turn off the light in the bathtub. She'd already gotten in. So she's like, can you turn off the light? Now, when I get in there, it's like, man, you gonna...
I'm sorry. This is hilarious. The retelling of this. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Just cracking up. So, okay. So I get in there. It's candles, not just one or two. It's like 3 or 4. She has it like in the tub where there's like a shelf. She has it like on the countertop. It's like candlelight for real. She has a tray that goes across the bathtub where she can prop up her iPad or her phone. Where she could put a book, a glass of wine. It's like a little nook for the glass of wine on the stand. And then I see her tray of sushi. She was not only calling me in to turn off her light, but to get her chopsticks that she left downstairs. So I was like, oh, the sushi was for you. Now, she knew I didn't like sushi, so I was kind of thinking like that wasn't for me. But she really didn't have anything planned for us later. I thought that the whole setup that she was going through was like for us, but it was for her. And that didn't really bother me at all. I was really actually proud and I was really happy to see her taking care of herself and to be taking that much interest in her self-care.
Yeah.
Because I think that self-care is such a valuable part of our relationship with ourselves and others.
Yes.
If we don't take care of ourselves first, especially people like you who are birthing people, you're nurturing kids all the time and you're really taking care of a lot of other things and people other than yourself. It's nice to see you intentionally set that time aside for yourself without me having to say, babe, please go take a break.
Yeah.
Or you like are cranky because you haven't taken a break and then you're telling me I'm running you ragged. And I'm like, you could have taken 10 breaks.
Yeah.
And so it was really nice, but it was the way she was romancing herself. I mean, she had the Dr. Teal's, is that the Epsom salt and stuff?
Yes, and that one had like melatonin and like
CBD or something.
Yes, it was heavenly.
It was bubble bath going. And I mean, she's done this in the past, like really kind of like finessed herself, but she took it up a notch, asking me to come get her chopsticks. She not put sushi in there. I've seen her do the wine and candles and whatnot, but I think the sushi was next level. She was like, and I'm gonna have dinner by myself. And it was like, wow, like I think I went and ate a sandwich or something. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Tiffany always probably had something good for me, but
I would like to concur with all of the details of this story. And I also would like to point out that, yes, I absolutely romanced myself in that moment. I pulled out all the stops, every single one. And I also would like to add that that was possible for me in the context of a relationship with your support. And I'm gonna clarify that it wasn't like you being like, "Go take a bath."
Yeah,
Like,
not
you really need
permission.
this right, it wasn't permission. But y'all, half the things that he's talking about that I had during this bath, he purchased, okay? My nice little bath rack, I think it was a Christmas gift. It's like top tier. Like, you got a little nook for the wine, like all the stuff you described. But I just wanted to say that you being supportive of my self-care by like helping purchase these things or gifting me these things or even encouraging it has also been really important
I received
to
that.
this to me, creating this time. And I love your language about creating time for this,
Yeah.
because if you wait to find the time or wait to take the me time or wait for the self-care, I guarantee you, you will never find it.
Yeah,
You
right.
will never ever
Because
find it.
when we have these chunks of time, if we are not intentional about how we fill the time,
Exactly.
it gets filled by something else. It's
Exactly.
not that you're just freeing up all your time and nothing's gonna get there. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
It's that if we're not intentional about filling that space, something else will take its space.
Mhm. It will. And I think for me, I am learning, especially after um having had Nova, how important that me time is and how important it is just in a like if it was just you and I,
It's so
it's
necessary.
so necessary to
'Cause
refuel yourself,
whoo.
to refresh and refuel yourself. Like I don't feel like I can go back to a place where I wasn't at least thinking about doing something for myself every
It's
day.
important to start your day from the seat of your soul, end your day from your seat of your soul. Even if you have other people that are on you, on your
Mhm.
physical
Mhm.
person, or just loving on you and in your space, but that you start with some time for reflection. Because
Mhm.
self-care is great, but that self-awareness and self-reflection
Exactly.
really takes it up a notch. So I see
Exactly.
you in the tub, like reading your self-development books,
Mhm.
or you're watching TV, you're doing something that's intentional
Mhm.
that allows you to just kind of like, whoo.
Exactly.
But then you also will often go journal or pull
Mhm.
some tarot cards or
Mhm.
like do something intentional that allows you to really self-reflect and center and ground.
Mhm.
So I see you taking these spaces as necessary for you to really connect with yourself and your relationship with
Yeah.
yourself further.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I'll say also that as I've been more and more intentional about creating that time for myself, I also realize how many limiting beliefs have existed underneath there or still
Mm,
to this day that I'm working through.
mm,
So the feelings around, well, is it selfish to sit
yeah.
here and take this bath where my full husband is here and like we could be spending time together? And no, it's not
Don't you
selfish.
worry about me. You
It's
don't have
not.
to worry about me.
Or, I'm sure many people could potentially relate to sitting. Let's say you're sitting and you really want to just scroll through TikTok.
Yeah.
That's something that feels like it would give back to you in the moment. It feels relaxing, but you can't really enjoy or you can't really sit there and enjoy whatever the thing you're eating or whatever the thing you're doing because you're thinking about, oh, that laundry I was supposed to do. Oh,
Mhm.
those dishes I was supposed to do. And it kind
Yeah.
of creates this shame spiral or this like
Yeah.
you're not even able to relax or
Yeah.
enjoy that dedicated you time
Yeah.
without having those very limiting beliefs that could
Yeah.
potentially prevent you from taking that time
Yeah.
in the future.
And see, I think that you're bringing up valuable points because
Mhm.
we're different, but we're similar.
Yeah.
So, like, we're different, but similar in the sense that you are often worried about how somebody
Mhm.
else might be needing you and that
Mhm.
you're not giving them the time that they
Mhm.
need. And
Mhm.
I think similarly, it just shows up in a different way.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
yours is typically about like, okay, am I taking care of everything at
Yeah.
home?
Yeah.
Do I deserve this break that I'm
Mhm.
taking
Mhm.
kind of thing? And you're not seeing it from a place, it doesn't sound like you're seeing it from a place of like, If I start my day here, I have 100% energy to give out throughout the day. If I start my day from here, that's starting from a place of alignment. And I need to be aligned in order to show up fully to all of my relationships. Well, I don't think you saw it like that in the past. I've seen you live this out very boldly now in your life. And I think before I was struggling with taking time because I had so much stuff happening at work or like with the work that I was doing. And I'm extremely passionate about the work I'm doing, very grateful for the opportunities and excited. And it is still hard for me to take intentional time away from everything. I'll often feel like if I'm not working, then I need to be with you all. And I want to say for both of those scenarios, that is all on the side of both of our own heads. Not one time am I thinking when you're taking a bath, she could be spending time with me. Moe Ari, one thing about Moe, he gonna be fine doing his own thing.
Period.
Especially when it comes to Tiffany needing to do her own thing. But then when it comes to me doing my own thing, thinking that you might need me or whatever, I have a challenge. It's like, just like I'm not thinking about you when you're taking a bath. You are not thinking about me when I am going to the gym or doing whatever it is that I'm doing to take care of myself.
No, I think that's very accurate. And, you know, I feel like we definitely struggle in this in different regards. And I feel like what I appreciate about us is that we're able to have these very candid conversations or say like, that's kind of something that's in your head, because I am fully supportive of you taking this time or doing this thing, you know, even in the context of, let's say, you know, you're taking a Saturday to do something, right? For yourself. And I'm like, okay, I have Nova, like, what we gonna get into? Sometimes I do need a break, and I'm not really interested in that. But in these instances where we're intentional, we talk about, you know, this necessity for this me time, I have no issue, and I'm fully supportive. I'd be like, oh, you want to stay out a little longer? Like, you need some more time?
Yeah.
And I really have, I'm super proud of you for the ways that you've been able to really be intentional about creating breaks, because I feel like for you, like you're saying, you often have felt that, you know, if I'm not working, then I need to be spending it with Moe and with Tiffany and Nova, or I need to be spending it in this way. But you've been very intentional with even, you know, having your own getaway over the past couple months ago, I think. Just
That
kind
was
of
probably much earlier in the year,
really?
actually. Yeah.
At
It's
some
been a
point
while.
in 2020,
Your boy needs a break.
you need another one. At some point in 2022, you were just like, you know, babe, I really feel like I need some time to decompress and just spend some time with myself. And so I was so proud of you for creating that time. And I was not like he gets to do this thing and I don't. I was just like, yes, you need it. Like, you literally need this time. And for a person like you, I feel like it could be sometimes challenging to create that space in the context of still being in the home or in the actual space with your family.
Yeah. Hard. I mean, so I think what comes up for me is how I've intentionally gone and gotten an office.
Yep.
I mean, I've wanted an office for a while as a therapist. When I started my private practice, it was at the beginning of the pandemic. So my dream of like opening my office didn't happen. It was like, no, everybody's virtual. So now I have an office, and it's not for therapy. It's actually for me to just have a space where I'm creating and I'm just staying in my flow. Because what happens when I'm home is that it's not Tiffany. It's literally me.
I don't be distracting him, y'all.
No. Now that's questionable. The thing she wears when I'm home versus the thing she wears when I'm not home, questionable.
Okay.
So, anywho, I want to be able to command my attention always. And so I was like, I need like some separation between house, because my body is literally like, we are at home. We need to be resting. Create some separation. I think that was my invitation from my body to like make those spaces separate where they've been kind of merged for the whole of the past few years. And that was great. So this office, I feel like I've been more productive in this
Yeah.
time than I have been over the past few years or ever in my life since college,
Mhm.
because I have like an intentional space where I go to
Exactly.
zone out and get my work done, and I feel like I'm more efficient.
Mhm.
Before, I was like doing a bunch of stuff at home, getting
Yeah.
distracted, going to look, and you end up spending more time on projects, and it's not
Yeah.
like a commanding of your attention.
Mhm.
That way, now when I go to spaces like my office or if I'm with you all, I feel that I'm intentionally telling myself, allow yourself to be here
Yep.
and only here. There's
Mhm.
nowhere else to be,
Mm.
because those
Oof.
spaces are separate.
Yep.
But before, it was like it was dividing my energy. At home, I'm also needing to work. So it was like my mind didn't have the mental separation
Mhm. Mhm.
or the mental severance, so to speak.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it needed that.
Yeah.
And so the space for me has been good, just
Mhm.
even from a work standpoint, but like
Yeah.
just talking about having an intentional space that's my own to create,
Mhm.
so that the house is not necessarily an uncreative space, but it's a different kind of creative space. I'm
Yeah.
playing there, I'm
Yeah.
resting there, I'm laughing there. I'm not like getting serious in my zone writing.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I like that there's that separation.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I've just noticed how how much, I mean, not that you weren't present before, but how your presence has just amplified in
Yeah.
either of those spaces. With having that office, you're like, this, I'm getting my creativity in, I'm doing this, but also at
Mhm.
home, like, I'm here and this is
Mhm.
where I want to be. Like, and so I have
Mhm.
definitely noticed that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like that's why the space is so important, even in our relationships.
Mm,
Sometimes we spend so much time together that we don't miss each other,
exactly.
that we feel that we know every single thing the other person's gonna
Mm-hmm.
do. There's that lack of mystery because we have too
Mm-hmm.
much time
Mm-hmm.
together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this goes for people even in the dating phase.
Yeah.
When we spend too much time together in the early part of our relationship, it can really remove the mystery of the relationship
Mm-hmm.
quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and some of that mystery is necessary so that you can get to the place where you've built enough of a friendship and
Yeah.
a foundation to accept the flaws that someone has.
Mm-hmm.
When you just met a person 2 weeks ago and they're at your house for 3, 4 days in a row, that's probably moving more quickly than your heart can really hold at the time. You want to be
Yeah.
compassionate, but then if they start doing things that bother you,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah.
they're gonna do things that bother you because you don't know them
Yeah.
like that. They're not your
Yeah.
best friend, and they're spending best friend amount of time there.
Yeah.
But I'm also saying from the perspective of someone who's been in a marriage now
Yeah.
for 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm making sure I get my
Yeah.
numbers right, and
Yes.
knowing you for a decade,
Yeah.
that we even still need space.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a healthy amount of space
Yeah.
so that we can continue to be our own individual people,
Mm-hmm.
and that we continue to pursue the things that are really important to us. So we
Yeah.
each start our day like this.
Yep.
One of us goes to the gym first
Mm-hmm.
because Tiffany has personal training at 6 some days,
And it's lovely.
and it's lovely. And
Mm-hmm.
on the day she's not doing personal training at 6, I'm up at 6 and I'm
Yep.
going to the gym at
Mm-hmm.
6 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
We start our day from the seat of our soul,
Yep.
doing something for ourselves, allowing
Mm-hmm.
ourselves to self-reflect while we're
Yep.
there, to challenge ourselves, to
Yep.
really start the day with gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, we come back together. We shower, we do the things,
Mm-hmm.
we get Nova ready for her
Yep.
day, and then we're on.
Mm-hmm.
And then we work after that.
Mm-hmm.
I might even have a second workout and
Mm-hmm.
like clear my head after
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
after my day, and come home and, be intentional about our time together and really
Mm-hmm.
spend that time. But that space feels like it's been so important after spending a wealth of time together. Even our daughter seems
Mm.
like she is like needs breaks from us.
Yeah.
You ask her if she wanna go to her Mimi's house on the weekend,
Yeah.
she's like, yeah."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "So you don't wanna stay here with daddy?" She's like, "No." "You wanna stay here with mommy?" No.
Mhm.
No."
No. She loves us, she just needs
Mhm.
that space.
Yeah, she's like, "I spent a pandemic with you all where we weren't seeing
Yeah.
that many people for a while, so bye-bye."
Right. Right. And, I just wanted to say that our days, we're able to have, a scenario where our days can flow like that, I think
Yeah.
in part because we're able to have boundaries.
Yeah, we
And
intentionally
we
created that. We're
intentionally
not just able to have it.
right. Right. We've
Yeah.
intentionally created boundaries, and I think that is so important.
Standards.
Standards. When you think about me time, like we've both, reiterated multiple times, like this time is not going to just fall into your lap. It's not just going to show up and passively come. You literally have to create it. And in order to create it, you have to create boundaries.
Yeah.
When I was doing my bath time, I haven't been so good about it recently, but it was a conversation. I was like, Mo, every Wednesday after I put Nova down, it's bath time.
Yeah.
I mean, I was moving around meetings and like
Yeah.
phone conversations around my me time. And I know something else that my therapist shared with me this year that has been super, super helpful is to put the things on my calendar
Mhm.
for me first.
Yep.
Put the things for me first, and everything else falls around that.
Mhm.
And I feel like that has been a game changer.
Right.
It's absolutely been a game changer. And I know it could potentially be challenging in a job or in a workplace, but you can get creative with what that looks like. If you're a person who, needs that morning time to really get grounded or settled in at work, like I think you can craft your day around that. And so I don't
Yeah.
want it to just feel like you can only create this sort of um, me time or, vision in your relationship of having this space if you're both entrepreneurs. Like you can have any sort of job
Let
and be
me
able
tell
to
you.
create
Let me tell
this.
you. Let me tell you. So we're moving into hashtag love resources
Yeah.
as we round out this episode.
Yeah.
I think I agree with Tiffany 100%. How
Mhm.
we take this from theory into practice
Yeah.
is by putting some tangible things in place. And this really can apply to anyone. You get to be
Mhm.
creative. You get to
Mhm.
create the
Mhm.
life that you're living. So
Mhm.
even if you're in a financial situation or a work situation, professional situation where you can't start your day with the gym at 6 a.m.,
Yeah.
maybe you're like on the way to
Mhm.
your work, maybe on your ride to the car. What I listen to something called the Headway app,
Mm.
and it basically summarizes books and it'll read them to you chapter by chapter. So I was listening to Rich Dad Poor Dad one day. I'm
Mhm.
listening to I'm what is it? Some Brene Brown books. I'm
Yeah.
listening to Deepak. I'm listening
Mhm.
to like a bunch of different people that I
Right.
want to learn
Right.
from. And that's an intentional way that I'm creating self-care
Yeah.
and necessary space in
Mhm.
that ride
Mhm.
to work. So
Mhm.
that's number one. It's like be just intentional about figuring out what that time or that space will look like for you and what's reasonable within your limits right now. But that does not
Mhm.
mean don't dream for what your ideal situation would look
Yeah.
like, because it could be coming to you sooner than you think if you
Mhm.
intentionally create it.
Yeah.
I also have intentionally, so number two, I'm going to say for physical health is so important to mental health. If you
Mhm.
can find some way to be physically active, I don't care if it's like during your office day when you're at the office, people can see you. Maybe you need to just walk around that office. They got you back in the office and you want to be at home, walk around that office and make sure you get your mile in.
Exactly.
They can see that you're there, but you're
Mhm.
doing something intentional for you that's going to help you.
Yep.
It's so good for your mental health to be physically
So
active.
good.
I made sure that the building I got my office in had a gym because I was
Mhm.
like, okay, if I miss my workout in the morning, I want to make sure that it's one
Mhm.
close to my office
Mhm.
because I don't want to sacrifice my health anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to maneuver this in some complicated way. This doesn't
Yeah.
have to be complicated. Let me just make sure that this building has a gym
Yeah.
so that I can it can be conveniently located
Mhm.
when I want it after work. So
Mhm.
just number one is like just intentionally deciding and exploring what quality time, what self-care looks like for you, what that
Mhm.
space is going to mean for you.
Mhm.
And then number two, making sure you take care of your physical health.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I would say number 3 is realizing that there's not one way. So I guess it kind of goes hand in hand with your number 1, but there's not a one way of what self-care looks like. I feel like often we can see that, which can be self-care, massages and manicures and all of these
Mhm.
other things, but sometimes it's literally, which I have had to do in past working situations, putting a sign on my door that says, I am having lunch right now.
Yeah.
Do not interrupt unless it's urgent.
Right. And put it on your calendar too.
Literally put it on my calendar. And the way I evolved during that exercise was amazing, because initially I wasn't even taking the time to have lunch. I started putting this sign out. I would shut the door. I was still kind of doing a working lunch, but I got to the point where I was able to not just take a working lunch, but take my 30 minutes and not do any work.
Right.
Or venture outside and sit outside and, kind of have my lunch. So I think I would say number 3 is getting creative and not just feeling like there's one particular way, which I said goes pretty hand in hand with number 1, but feeling like,
well, I think scheduling the time,
yeah,
enforcing the boundary is really what your point seems like it's about. Like sticking to that plan that you create. So it really does feel like it deserves its own number. And I think it's a good way to round out the hashtag love resources is that like putting it on your calendar, because if we don't put it in there or we don't block out that time, we don't put that sign up on our door, even at home, do not disturb right now.
Yeah.
That's so important, because if you want to take a little 5-minute moment to meditate in your office and you don't want to be interrupted, make sure you do that. So just enforcing the standard in every aspect of your life so that you can make sure you have that. Make sure you have on your work calendar, do not disturb, or like busy for that 30 minutes that you need beyond lunch, but that 30 minutes that you need to go through your emails or something, so you're not trying to do that at home when you're with your kids. Make sure you put all of your tasks on your calendar.
And have a shared calendar with your partner, like even outside of work, to have a personal calendar that you share so you understand, like you're saying, what the other might have going on. If there's particular appointments you just want to keep aware, like any of those things is so helpful.
So helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you all so much for tuning in.
Thank y'all.
I think that this has been a helpful conversation for me, just really reviewing the things we put in place that were very good for us, but also some of the things we had to rise to meet that were challenges, but we were like, we're going to figure out something different. So I'm just glad that we've done this work and that you were also here willing to listen to us talk about space and how much we need it, how much we want it, how valuable it is to just say, hey, I need space in a relationship.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you, Mo.
All right. This is hashtag Be Your Own Love Goals with Moe Ari
and Tiffany.
Looking forward to talking to you all soon. Have a great day. Be well.
Bye.
If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. If you want your question featured in an upcoming episode of the hashtag Love Goals Podcast, go ahead and send your question to lovegoalspodcast@gmail.com. Check out our website at lovegoalspodcast.com and follow us on Instagram at Love Goals Podcast. We look forward to hearing from you soon.